It's absolutely no secret that I cover a lot of stupid shit here on this channel, but sometimes you just come across something that is so terrible that you're still left in disbelief. This is one of those times. Prepare yourselves.
Okay, so you reach the point where you acknowledge that trans people are people. Whoopsh.
I don't think there are that many people that don't think trans people are people. Now, granted, there are hateful individuals out there that don't like somebody based on a status such as that, but for the most part, I think people don't like annoying, obnoxious people that try to force political agendas their way.
And thus deserve basic human respects.
While I absolutely agree that every group of people deserves basic human rights and respect, on an individual level we have to remember that respect is earned, and while someone may not respect you individually, it does not necessarily mean that they don't respect the group of people that you identify with.
Congratulations! Now you're ready to learn how you can better support trans people as a marginalized community.
Marginalized community. They keep using this term to label themselves with, and it's a term of victimization. Now, while transgender as an identity may not be completely understood, they're not exactly living a life of oppression here in the West. They are free to do the same things that just about any single one of us are free to do. Yes, people may judge them based on their gender identity or gender presentation, whatever you want to call it. However, it is illegal to discriminate, and if they are facing discrimination, it's their job to pursue this in a legal fashion.
Most of these tips could apply to supporting any marginalized community, but this video specifically addresses how to be a better ally to trans people.
Because you identify as trans and therefore have a personal vested interest in this topic. It's also interesting to note that this person, I don't even know what they identify as, that they say this can apply to any marginalized community, because that makes me think it's less of a trans people issue and possibly more of a societal issue with people in general.
First of all, being an ally is an uncomfortable position.
I love how they always expect other people to be uncomfortable on their behalf, yet somehow it's the worst crime in the world when they feel the slightest bit of discomfort.
Are you uncomfortable yet? How about now? You uncomfortable yet? You uncomfortable? You uncomfortable?
More like annoyed by your retarded Looney Tune-like antics.
In order to benefit the trans community, you must be active in your support.
And I'm sure you're here to tell us all about how to do that, so proceed.
This means standing up for trans rights whenever it's safe for you to do so, and always deconstructing your learned biases.
Stand up for their rights when it's safe for you to do so. You know, if somebody is actually taking someone else's rights away, I think this situation is extreme enough to where you may be considered unsafe. So the only way to actually stand up for another human being's rights is if you are willing to put yourself in some sort of danger. We all have biases in some way, shape, or form, but the trick is to not allow those biases to overcome you and create generalizations based on some experiences with certain types of people.
All cisgender people are transphobic, just as all men hold misogynistic views, and all white people are racist.
And this is about the point where you lose me and probably just about every single individual with a functioning brain on the planet. You cannot be against discriminatory behaviors and then discriminate based on the aspects of a person's being that you are speaking out against. It is absolutely insane to assume that just because someone is a certain skin color, has a certain sexual orientation, has a certain gender identity, that they are automatically hateful towards you. It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't even take this shit seriously. Fuck you so hard, you fucking fuck.
I've known that I'm trans for 5 years, and I still sometimes struggle with internalized transphobia.
Yeah, 5 long years ago when Zier discovered Tumblr, you questioning your own identity is not transphobia.
Thoughts that maybe I am a freak, and what if cis gay people never find me attractive?
Well, you know, aside from the Tumblr terminology, that sounds like things every insecure, ordinary teenager goes through. So once again, I don't think that is transphobia, that is just you being an insecure person and needing to learn to overcome those insecurities and being comfortable with yourself.
If I've not been able to overcome my internalized transphobia in the 17 years that I've been living as a trans person...
Now hold the fuck on. You just said you finally discovered you were trans 5 years ago, and now all of a sudden you've been living as a trans person for 17 years? This is why nobody takes you seriously.
Then I'm pretty sure you probably have some transphobic biases as well.
So because you yourself hold a specific viewpoint that you believe to be transphobic, that means that every other person on Earth that is not trans also holds those views. That seems reasonable.
If you tell me that as a cisgender person, you are not transphobic, you are telling me not to trust you.
This is the extreme attitude that pushes moderate people that already agree with you away from causes such as these, because nobody wants to be insulted on a daily basis simply for who they are. Gee, doesn't that complaint sound familiar?
By telling me that you are not transphobic, you're telling me that you are unaware or choose to live in the dark about the way that we are socialized in a Western society.
And you're telling me that you think everyone that is not like you is hateful by default.
And most disturbingly, by telling me that you're not transphobic, you're telling me that you think you know everything there is to know about being trans.
By this very same logic, couldn't we say that since you are trans, you don't understand what it's like to be, oh, and I hate using this term, cis, and therefore cannot speak on the way cis people think? Consistency. You see how that works? I know it's hard, but try it sometime.
And that you think your allyship cannot be improved. Psst, you're also probably not going to improve your allyship until you acknowledge that you're transphobic.
You know what the problem is with these communities? They think that any criticism against somebody on an individual level is a criticism of their identity, because that's the only thing that most of them want to highlight and make a big deal out of. Nobody cares about your gender identity. What they care about, or at least what most people care about, is the content of your character. And you, my friend, are not showing very good character here by assuming that people that disagree with you or have a different viewpoint than you are just hateful.
Secondly, one of the most important things you can do as an ally to trans people is to listen to the voices of trans people.
I've been listening to your voice for a few minutes now, and quite frankly, I want to kill myself. And that's coming from somebody who doesn't even like the sound of their own voice that much.
And to listen to a variety of voices, and not just those who agree with you.
You have got to be fucking kidding me. Self-awareness much? I mean, you just said listen to people and not just the ones that agree with you. But here you are throughout this entire video claiming that people that don't agree with the fact that they are hateful by default are indeed hateful.
You don't get a cookie for supporting trans people.
According to you, you don't even get the slightest amount of respect for supporting trans people. If you expect respect, then you better damn well give it in return.
The marginalization of the transgender community continues because transgender voices are not being heard.
People are willing to listen to anybody, regardless of their identity, if they feel they are being treated as a human being. If you treat someone as a fellow human being and give them respect, then 9 times out of 10, they will at the very least hear you out. They may not agree with everything you have to say, but it usually won't turn into a gigantic blowout unless, of course, you say something that is completely ridiculous, such as, you're white, therefore you're racist, or you're a man, therefore you're a misogynist. Because nobody wants to be attacked like that. You don't, and they don't. There's something you have in common.
The transgender community is incredibly diverse, and you can learn a crap ton by listening to the voices of trans people.
This makes me wonder what you would say to trans people that don't agree with you. Something something transphobia, something something internalized transphobia, I don't know. Now, trans people make up a very small portion of the population, so if you're going to claim that the community is very diverse, well then, just by sheer numbers alone, men And white people would be extremely diverse and therefore would not all think and act the same way.
One of the best things you can do as an ally is to learn as much as you can and take what you've learned into other communities.
I keep getting the feeling that learning means listening to you without question. And then, of course, we're supposed to take what we've learned, so just take that cancer cell and just spread it. Spread it around into every community until those tumors are inoperable.
Your voice is often given more respect since you are not a part of the community. In the words of Linda Martin, speak with intent to listen, not to speak.
Unless, of course, you're speaking to me, in which case you should listen and never question anything I have to say, lest you be a bigot.
Lastly, watch out for those microaggressions.
Really? We're gonna talk about microaggressions? Those things that don't even exist, where you try to take something extremely minuscule and petty and turn it into a huge slight against you?
Microaggressions are soft versions of transphobia, where you may have no malintent, but your actions still work to further the marginalization of trans people.
The very concept of marginalization is a purposeful act. You know what you're doing if you're trying to marginalize an individual. It's not an act that you commit accidentally.
And that means watch out for your stereotypes and cisnormativity.
I'm sorry, what? I don't speak Tumblr. What? The fuck is that supposed to mean?
Trans people are erased by language that associates gender with a certain set of genitalia.
Do you promise? 'Cause if it'll make you go away, I will definitely call you by the wrong pronoun. But in all seriousness, how fucking fragile are you people? I mean, the idea that you can be erased by words is absolutely ludicrous. Go look in the mirror after you hear a hurtful word, and I assure you, you're still there, you still exist, you're still you. Just learn to tell people to fuck off.
No, you're not gay because you like penis. You're gay because you like men. But you may happen to really like penis.
Look, you can try to redefine reality all you want, but in nature, males have penises. So on average, most people that identify as male or female have the set of genitals which match that identity. This should not surprise or bother you that much. Speaking of which, why the fuck is your chin pissing me off so badly?
Also remember that there are narratives of trans people that you have probably never heard of before. Just because you've never heard it before doesn't mean that it's any less valid.
Also remember that there are white people that are not racist, and men that are not misogynistic, and cis people that are not transphobic. Just because you've never heard it before doesn't mean it's not valid.
Don't act like you're Hagrid saving some kids from their misery by telling them that they're not actually trans.
So we should just listen to every self-diagnosed kid on Tumblr because they obviously know what they're talking about way more than any medical or mental health professional does.
At the end of the day, trans people really aren't that different from cis people.
I think that's the only sane thing that you've said so far, but you have done nothing to show that. In fact, all you've done is a great disservice to your community by being so prejudiced against people that do not share your lifestyle. However, I'm going to use my brain to acknowledge that you are one person of many, and not everyone who shares a label with you thinks like you.
We don't develop some magical Google search skills where we can just answer any question immediately.
Well, I mean, of course not, because, you're not here to educate us after all. You're just here to, shout your extremist views.
And we also have our own feelings and very valid experiences with gender, even if you may never be able to understand our experiences.
Yes, but here's the key factor that you seem to be missing. If you want people to care about your feelings and your experiences, then you need to act like you care about their feelings and their experiences, no matter how marginalized you think you are. You need to look at people on an individual basis, and if somebody is kind to you, you need to show them the same kindness in return. Otherwise, you're not going to get it, no matter how much oppression you claim.
You can still humanize us in your own mind so that you can help the rest of the world humanize us.
And while we're on the subject of humanizing people, I want you to go and read your channel about description, because It basically says everything it needs to in order to display your hypocrisy.
Now you have several more tools that should help you further the cause of the trans army. Good luck, little warriors. Peace.
The trans army. Oh, I don't feel like that would be a very good army to be a part of, because one microaggression and you might wipe out all the troops. Damn. It is quite interesting, though, how these people use terms like army and warriors as though they really believe they're fighting a battle. And I think in their heads they do. They think they're doing something good for society. They think they're doing something good for people. But really all they're doing is driving people further apart based on identities that don't equate to the quality of an individual's character. If you truly want people to listen to your struggles, you have to approach them without the preconceived notion that they hate you based on the same characteristics you don't want to be judged by. And if you can't do that, it just goes to show that you care less about bridging the gaps in society and more about showing off how progressive and accepting you are, while ironically doing the opposite, in an effort to make yourself feel superior to others and believe you're doing something of value for the world. Hooray for you, you're a hero in your own mind. Thanks for watching, everybody.